spread far and wide now, and here to serve.
Great, thank you, Glenn. David?
I have with me today Bill Sanders. I think most of you know him. He's a Gainesville Rotarian. And then back again, I had Anna Guzman down, District Director of Office Services. I think shortly after you came on board up here, but probably didn't get to meet everybody. But Bill and Anna.
Welcome. And Wes is with us again this week. He is a recruit for our club. So if you haven't had a chance to speak to him, please do so today. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And then I will wait and give time for our speaker and the person that he will introduce as well. So does anybody have any announcements today?
I have one.
Yes, Dave.
I am so excited because I am leaving this afternoon to go to Ireland on a culinary tour. And I have arranged to visit a Rotary Club over there while I'm visiting. So I'm really excited, and if I leave a little early, please don't take any offense to it. It's just that I'm not sure of traffic going down to the airport.
What time is it? Brewery.
A brewery, a distillery, whatever.
You know, I'm sure they serve food somewhere. Good job, Dana. I'm jealous. I wish I could go. Any other announcements today? Sunshine, anybody? I have two quick announcements. Actually, I have three. You'll notice I brought the big shiny prize with me today. You want the big shiny prize. So the fact that you are here enters you into the drawing. If you brought a gift, that will enter you again for each gift that you brought. And then if we have 100% attendance, everybody's name will go in twice. We will draw at the end of the month, and if you win, you're going to be very happy because, again, you want the big shiny prize. It is shiny, and it is big, and it is a wonderful prize. The second thing, June 6th, Green Tavern. It's a social night, 6 o'clock. We'll still head it out that way. Have a sign-up sheet here. If you didn't email me, please make sure that you indicate on the sign-up sheet if you are coming and how many people you will bring. You are welcome to bring gifts. The club will cover hors d'oeuvres and tea, water, soda. If you want something from the bar, you're on your own. The other night, June 27th, the end of the year party at the Bradford House and Gardens. It starts at 6 o'clock. We'll have past heavy appetizers at that point. It's BYOB. You're welcome to bring anything that you'd like to bring. They will have tea and water there. And then we'll sit down to dinner at 7. So we have an hour to kind of socialize and talk and partake of hors d'oeuvres. And then we'll have actual dinner and the program starting at 7. I have a sign-up sheet for it as well. So if you will, take a look, put your name down. I want you to come. Bring some guests, bring your spouse, bring whoever. They are all welcome. So do we have anything else today before we move on? All right. Benny, if you don't mind introducing our speaker, we'll get going.
Be glad to. Pleasure today to introduce Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. I know a lot of folks in here in the club and elsewhere have been concerned about the housing market and the values of our own homes and what's happening there. So I had asked Frank a few weeks ago if he would come by and just tell us a little bit of his wisdom about where the housing industry is going and the values and all that. So with that, please join in welcoming my friend, Frank.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to be back. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to try to talk a lot about Hall County and how we're all fitting in, how we are faring. I will also send this presentation. I'll go ahead and send this presentation to you, so if you want it to be distributed out. And I appreciate being the guinea pig on this video camera. I did ask that they're going to stretch me as tall as my brother. You know my brother who's 6'2". I'm weight proportional to that height, not quite to this height. So they're going to do that in this final editing. I'm an info junkie. I love collecting information. And I have, we're keeping track of somewhere around 1,500 charts and instances. You will not see but about 15 of those. So I won't bore you with that. But what I try to do is try to understand where the market is today and look through the windshield, not the rear view mirror, where it's headed and what can we expect. And we've got several things going on that really haven't been in the local media. And what I thought I would do is to talk about and give you simply 5 things that you need to know about 2013. So, with that, a little bit about us. We today are a little bit more than just the yellow yard signs. We have just purchased an insurance agency in Florida. We now are in 14. We now have 17 offices in 4 states. We are the largest independent insurance company in the state of Georgia today, and just independent insurance real estate company in the state of Georgia. Our listing coverage is now 59 counties in the state. This is real estate, commercial, and residential, and I now have listings in North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, and Florida, and Tennessee. So we're much more than just the little yellow yard signs. Last year we had the most profitable year our firm has had in the last 15. We've had the heaviest growth. We, like everyone else, downsized or right-sized, and we sort of powered through the marketplace, hitting generally all cylinders. But I want to talk about 5 things that I think are important that we know going forward. First is that inventory is evaporating. Now that's hard for people to understand and to think back that we used to have 13 and a half months of supply of houses. We used to have this abundance as a country. I just came back from a national conference in Denver, Colorado, and most national markets today have under 4 months of supply. San Francisco has a 5-day supply of houses. We're not building houses any longer. We don't have a construction engine going like we did in 2004, 5, and 6, so we're not replacing those. Foreclosures have slowed down on a national basis. Phoenix, which was one of the absolute worst markets, today has a 2-week supply of houses. Our own market is under a 4-month supply of houses. If you look at certain price points of property, it goes down to weeks. What that's now saying is if you have a relocating employee, they're going to have a hard time finding a house. We also have a tightening multifamily market. We're starting to see some conversation about new construction for multifamily, certainly in this market, and there's some multifamily being built in Atlanta. But apartment vacancy at one time when we saw a Hispanic exodus dropped down to 70% occupied. Today it's running around 85% occupied, moving to 90%, and in some affordable apartments there is a shortage. So as you're relocating an employee, if they can't find a house to purchase, they may not be able to find a house to rent, which is going to be an interesting market. What that does for the rest of us is that our prices are going to go up. What that does for the rest of us is we're going to see strong appreciation of houses, which Betsy is going to be great for the overall market and the consumer confidence as we feel better. California, now many of those houses that were underwater are no longer underwater. And so inventory is evaporating, and so as I start to look at what's happening in the marketplace, this is a great chart. This shows the total amount of houses that sold in Metro Atlanta, and we are in this number. So this includes about a 27-county region. This is FMLS and MLS, the 2 MLS services, and I got rid of the duplicate. So it includes Banks, Bartow, Carroll, Cherokee, Clayton, Cobb, Coweta, Dawson, DeKalb, Douglas, Fayette, Forsyth, Fulton, Hall, Gwinnett, Henry, Jackson, Newton, Paulding, Rockdale, Spalding, and Walton counties. Okay? That's the system. 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and by price point. It's my favorite 2 charts, this one and the one behind. So this is the amount of houses that sold in that specific year in 2011 that were under $149,000. And you can see we're dominated by small houses. Average people buying average houses with average credit. That's what's been buying. And you can see where we had kind of crazy money out there in mortgage. And so we sold 80,000 houses in 2006. It was a crazy time. People without credit could buy a house and get a toaster. Actually, they got microwaves and they got other things. Crazy money. But if you start to look at this chart and study it, what you find is we've sold the same amount of houses in 8, in 9, 10, 11, and 12. So what is normal? Normal is about 52,000 houses, new and resale. That's normal. Anything that's longer than 2 years is a normal. Here is 5 years running, we've been selling the same amount of houses. Now the price points have changed. The other interesting thing is the people who have big boy houses. That's houses over $750,000. We sold the same, if you look at the little tiny black line, we sold the same number of black line houses, 750 houses, in 2006 as we did in 2012. People with money are still buying houses. Now it might be a $2 million house that suddenly is now $1.5 million house. So maybe the price points have helped that, but people with money are still buying houses at the same rate. It hadn't increased. It's been relatively the same. That's that custom house that's being built on Lake Lanier. That's that custom. But if you look at the marketplace, so I can tell you that we're going to sell somewhere around, the demand is somewhere around 50 to 54,000 houses this year. Except we have the next chart. This is the amount of inventory we have in Atlanta, Georgia. Same years, I took the snapshot of the 30th of December. So on the 30th of December 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Let's just look at 12 a minute. We have 14,000 single-family houses for sale. And we are consuming 52,000. That is a 4-month supply across all products. Now what happened in the past is that we had a large basket of inventory. And what would happen in the past is all the people who were reselling went into that basket. And then we had this builder industry that was building houses, and at one time we built 55,000 new houses, and it would go into the basket. And then we started having foreclosures, and they went into the basket. And now, if you look at the basket is empty. We haven't been building any new houses. A number of people took their houses off the market for sale because they were underwater and they just felt like it was the wrong time to sell. Some of those came back on the market in 2010, 11, and 12, and certainly they'll continue to come on the market. But we're going to have a severe housing shortage. I'm speaking next week. You're welcome to come. I think you have to pay, but this is a free one. Georgia State does an economic development conference 4 times a year, and I'm speaker on next Wednesday. And my topic is the case for new Atlanta construction boom. What's happening is we're continuing to have new employment in Atlanta, and we're continuing to have job growth in Atlanta, some 55,000 this past 12 months. And we are continuing to have population growth, people wanting to retire in Metro Atlanta, because you've never heard anybody say, I can't wait to retire to Milwaukee. They kind of want to retire here. So we're having a population growth, and yet we're seeing a housing shortage. To give you an example, my son works for Invesco, the international money manager in Atlanta, Georgia, and they closed a Kentucky office and they closed a New York office and decided smartly they had some extra space in Atlanta, Georgia. It was going to be cheaper in Atlanta, Georgia. So they moved 45 families to Atlanta and put them up in temporary housing in October of last year. Only 5 of the 45 have been able to buy a house. And these are high net worth guys, high paying salaries. There's just not any inventory. And the problem I see is there's not going to be any inventory. 85% of all builders that were in existence in 2006 have evaporated in Metro Atlanta. They may be a roofer today, they may be at Walmart or Home Depot today, they may be doing home inspections. I've never seen so many home inspectors. They may be doing other kinds of business, but they're out. And it's causing all kinds of stress and strain on the housing business. Here's a great story. So I talked to a builder, it's been about 3 weeks. He was building a house in Gwinnett County in a subdivision, and it was being framed by a Hispanic crew. And they were all over the house framing this house. And a gentleman rolls up in a new truck, talks to the foreman and says, I will give you a $5,000 bonus if you will take your crew over to my house 3 subdivisions over, and I'll pay all of your guys $2 more an hour. But here's the deal. My offer expires in 5 minutes, and I'll get back in the truck and I'll go find somebody else. And the foreman got his crew and walked off that house to another house. We have a labor supply problem. We're going to have a labor supply. They are cannibalizing each other, which means that construction costs are going to go up, which means that new house construction is going to be cheaper unless existing houses move up, and the entire market is going to be tight. And I'm looking at a market where inventory is 0. Now, you're going to have to go to a realtor, Betsy, or can I recruit you right here? In front of everybody now.
That $5,000 bonus.
$2 an hour and $5,000 bonus. Anyway, what's going to happen is professional realtors are going to know what's happening in a neighborhood before. And we're going to see more coming soon sales. We're going to see more people who are listening to the ground or approaching hoofbeats of, yes, this person is going to need to sell, or this person's out looking. And we're going to see back to the good old days where we had to scrounge for listings to help this change in population. Because if we only have 14,000, we're now 4 months into this, 5 months into this, and this number is now under 13,000 single-family houses available for sale. There's nothing. And what that is junk. Stuff that people, where the electrical outlet, the entire electrical panel is over where you put the master bed. I've seen more junk. It's things that have been picked over. So as we go into this market, the first thing I want you to know is it's nearly 0. Foreclosures are down 20%. Real estate sales are starting on the swing up. Bill, we love this market. When that market was high, that's the total real estate sales in Hall County during those years. You can see what's happening. And we today are selling maybe a quarter of total transactions than we did in the peak. That affects the overall economy. This number is land sales, retail, home sales, anything that was property sales. Home sales. This is single-family houses 2007 through 2012 by price point in Hall County only. And you can see that we're selling houses. We sold over 1,100 houses in the last 2 years in this county under $149,000. Average people with average credit are buying average houses. Yeah, we're still seeing a little bit of houses over $750 on the lake, but the average price house sold in Metro Gainesville or Hall County was around $162,000. Weighted a little higher because of the high price stuff we have on the lake. Let's see. Let's get a couple of these charts up. So here's an interesting market comparison. This is Atlanta, Georgia. In March of 2006, we had an 8.9 month supply. It did get to 13.5. We were permitting 55,000 single-family houses. At the time, we had 125,000 vacant developed lots. Most of those had Jackson EMC power in it, didn't it? Yep. We won't do that.
Those platforms?
Okay, this is 2006.
Okay.
We had in 2006 annualized job growth in Metro Atlanta of 75,000. We had a 6.7% interest rate. We were foreclosing 11,000 annualized REO. And of the top 10 builders top 10 builders in Metro Atlanta, they comprise 19% of the overall marketplace. It was a small builder marketplace. This March. This March, we now have a 33.2 month supply of houses in Atlanta, Georgia. We only are permitting 9,100 annualized single-family housing permits. Not even 20%. Most of those are pre-sales. And if you look in Hall County, where we permitted not quite 200 housing permits this year, the majority of those were in Crestwind and in Village of Dean Creek, which were pre-sales. We have very limited spec construction going on today. Our lot supply peaked in the market at 150,000. We're selling some lots. We're not putting any more lots out in the ground, and we're down to 132. Job growth. We still have 55,000 jobs. In Metro Atlanta, we still grew 55,000 jobs. The interest rate is 3.43%. So if you plan to stay in your house today, and you are at an interest rate that's at least 1 point higher than that, you need to be refinancing your house. This is a historic interest rate and will not ever appear in my lifetime. Will never reappear in my lifetime. My consultants are telling me that interest rates are going to most likely be 4%, 4.5% by the end of this year. Could be as high as 4.5%. By end of 2014, we'll be hitting about 5%, and then nobody predicts anything beyond 2014. Somebody's going to have to pay back all of the money that the federal government has borrowed, and you could very well see 6.5% interest, 7% interest on long-term money. No one's expecting 13% interest. There's enough monetary controls that I don't think we're going to see that. And I think, Betsy and I've been in the business long enough, I remember 21% interest in the 1980s. We're not going to see that again. There's enough monetary control, but we are going to see 6.5% long-term money again. So that's why we're seeing so many folks who are giving money to their children to buy a house while there's low interest rates. Some people are, we had a sale first of the year where a family bought a $135,000 house for a son to get him out of his basement. We're going to see a little of that. We're seeing a lot of that. But what we're seeing is people taking advantage of the 3.43% interest. And foreclosures annualized today are, monthly foreclosures are 6,700 in Metro Atlanta. But here's the difference. It's the last number. Of the building permits annualized, the market now is becoming dominant by the national builders. That's Pulte, Crown Homes, D.R. Horton, Beazer. The national builders are going to control the marketplace. They're the company, so it becomes even more difficult for us local builders, and I have a lot of friends who are local builders, to compete when Pulte buys sheetrock by the boxcar load. And they buy an entire they buy a quarry